right place, right time, right team. So we're all in this mindset. Let's build this together. 2025 is going to be the era of AI. It's going to be so insane. And luckily, pitched them and they believed in the vision. And they're like, we want you guys in. One really fun story is talking about the history of like companies, right? Like and how companies were founded. I was listening to a fun podcast yesterday on like the founding of Walmart, and it's fun to hear these like founding stories. But for my company and JustPaid.ai, we started the company, a little over a year ago, and for me, met my first I have two co-founders in this company, and for me, it's like covering all bases. It's like, how do you find the right people? I talk to founders a lot, and they're like, I want to start a company, but I need a co-founder. And nobody wants to work with me, or I can't find someone technical, or, I don't know who's the right fit, or I just met this person, I don't trust them. I don't think any co-founder will ever be perfect. Even the best companies in the world, and the CEOs and the best executives, they all have their good qualities and their bad qualities. But I think for me, like, I was looking for people that could cover the bases where I'm weak. And I think this is what co-founders should do. Like, you don't want co-founders who are all like, if you want to start a new car company, you don't want all of the same type of thing, because you'll just create the same car. And what I mean by that is like, Henry Ford and the Ford company and all these executives there, they thought about the gasoline car for years. If you took a bunch of those people and put them together in another room, they just create another gasoline car with like a different color paint. So for me, I was like, I really want diversity in a team. And I think it'll be fun, like working with people that have such different perspectives than me. And, I've known my one co-founder, Analia, for years, Analia Grant. And, she would come into my office as our part-time accountant in my first company in the early days. And she had an energy about her, like very go-getter. She could sell people on like fractional accounting services way before it was like a thing to become a fractional accounting service company. Now it's all over the place in startups. Fractional accounting, is everywhere. But she was like, in the early days, like this is like circa 2011, she came into our office and like, we had a conversation about my startup and like what it was doing. And I could tell like she was a unique individual, that she was a go-getter herself that could like get customers and had zero fear. Like, anyway, fast forward, I saw her like helping companies like TaskRabbit sell to IKEA. There was a company called Segment that sold to Twilio that she did accounting for. There was a company, Parse, that sold to Facebook for $100 million that I saw her like do all the accounting for. And I'm like, she could figure out the right companies, who to work for, how to get them to a position of like real power, and some of them went public that she worked for. So like I saw her tenacity in doing that, and whatever, we worked together for a bit, and I started working on my company, and we hired in a bunch of finance people, and we stopped working with Analia over time because she was a fractional CFO. We needed someone full-time in there. I did try to convince her to work full-time for my company, but she just was like, hey, I'm doing my thing. It's not the right time. But, it's kind of funny, like when you have a lot of relationships and network, the older you get, like you can find co-founders fast. So, I'm running my company, I sell it. When you sell a company, you're kind of a lot of emotions and all these things, and you're thinking about like what's going to happen in the future, what am I going to build? Like, am I going to do a startup? Should I go work for a company? Like, what do I do? You go through these just a lot of like exercises and thought, like, what do you want to do with your life, right? Because you work on something for so many years, it becomes your life. It interweaves into your life. I run into someone that I used to work with at my old company, and he says he wants to do a startup. So kind of random. It was like a random encounter. I meet one of the engineers that used to work at my old company, and he's like, hey, I would love to do a startup with you. We get together, and I could tell he was pretty serious. There's just something about him where he wanted to do a startup. And I could tell like he moved to Silicon Valley specifically to like at one point do his own startup. And I just don't think he knew how. Like, he was very technical, understood AI, understood like servers, understood a lot of complex, computer science theory and could code, but he's like, how do I do this? In a really nice way, just talking about like how do companies form. It was very random in a sense, like he was available, he was looking, I was available, I was looking. Yeah. And then, we kind of listed out a bunch of ideas. And I'm like, we could do this idea, or this idea. What do you think about these ideas? I myself didn't have conviction. And it's like, you need conviction. You need it to like work on something for like 10, 20 years. You need to like believe. And I was like racking my brain. I'm like, what is the idea? What do we work on? How do I get that conviction? And then, again, Analia, my other co-founder. So there's Vinay and Analia. Vinay is the technical person. Analia like messages me and, she's like, I want to do my own startup. Yeah. And I get this message from someone I worked with for a few years. And, she messaged me and I'm like, let's get on a Zoom and we'll talk through it. And, me and Vinay were talking for a while. And Analia hops on and kind of lays out a big vision of like what she wants to do. And I saw it in my head. I'm like, this could work. This is something I could get behind because I see the problem. I've had the problem. I believe we could change the world like together between the three of us. And then you take three people, that were like brainstorming out of Panera Bread together. And then you just start executing and you start like building. Lo and behold, we started to like get traction and figure out how to build it very quickly. People have a hesitancy and they get scared and they're like, why would I try? Or they don't have the I'd call it like you wake up and you have to get something done every day. That's how companies are built. And I think we were doing that like every day. I don't know what it was, but we were all meeting every day to get something done. Right place, right time, right team. Because Analia wasn't, she was looking to do something. I was looking to do something. And then Vinay was looking to do something. So we were all in this mindset, let's build this together. And then we kind of just took it and started to go full force. And then I think I was like, let's apply to Y Combinator. Let's do this because Y Combinator will give us a really good push, right? Like it's a really good accelerator. It gives you an amazing network. I went through it once before in 2011 for my first company. And Vinay and Analia were totally bought in. So we applied and luckily pitched them and they believed in the vision. And they're like, we want you guys in. Yeah. And that was where I got really excited. Vinay got really excited, because we were working on the project together. But now it's like it's groups of people. And, Y Combinator, the partners there like believed in us. So it's like now we have an investor that believes in like what we're building. And this is exciting. And the big vision of like what we were trying to do and we're working on every single day is how do you take the complex world of accounting and just take pieces of it and make it easier? So think of it as like there's different slivers of this area and others are all working on it. So there's a lot of people working in different areas, tackling different parts. Some people are working on taxes. Some people are working on collect revenue properly. Others are looking at like how to make payments. Others are looking at payroll. I had a belief if we pick a sliver of this, and we were all aligned, all of our co-founders, if we pick a sliver of this industry, we could have like a big impact to like building software that helps people on the finance teams or the founders to like get revenue in the door quickly. At the end of the day, a company will not survive if they don't collect their revenue. So like for me, I was like, we could go into all these different areas, but the revenue for me is where companies live or die. And a lot of founders are too busy building their product, rightfully so, but they don't go after the revenue. Yeah. And they forget, oh, this customer didn't pay me $1,000 a month, so I lost $12,000. Oh, this customer I never billed them. Or this customer, I underbilled them for 3 years. What I want to do is, and my co-founders want to do is create a world where there's an AI AR, accounts receivable agent that will help collect the revenue for any type of business in the United States. It's not a business to consumer app. It's a business to business app where it's, if me and you negotiate a deal, the deal is whatever, $1,000 a month that I owe you. We sign a DocuSign, we sign a Dropbox sign, whatever it is, a contract, drop it in, and you can just forget it. And then literally the revenue starts going into your bank account. The AI AR agent will like start to collect that revenue. So like it was a really fun, it's a fun journey when you like have like a fun group, but they're so different than me in so many ways. It like helps me see the world differently. It helps me like see the product differently. And we're like getting a lot of feedback from customers, and we get a lot of feedback from our investors, but it's a really fun adventure, like doing this with like 2 people. Right now, all accounts receivable it's driven by people. There is a really scary statistic out there that in the United States, people are not going and getting accounting degrees as much. So there's not as many people graduating with accounting like expertise that there was before. It's actually going down. It's decreasing. Yet the rate of companies that are being created is increasing. So there is this natural stressor that is happening. And with supply and demand, naturally, accountants are going to charge more, and then the people who can pay that like get the best accountants. Yes. Meanwhile, you have these other companies and startups that are suffering, and they may be hiring non-experts or people without as much expertise to like do their accounting. And for us, it's the accounting and the revenue collection specifically. But the way that I see it is, if we tackle and take one piece of that, where all of these startups are having issues, we can help them democratize revenue collection. You could ask 10 startups, how many of you have like a team member that goes out and helps collect the revenue for you? I can promise you, out of 100 startups, maybe 2 or 10. So 90 are like they don't have anybody. So they pray that when another business is supposed to pay them, that they collect the revenue. But what naturally happens is the founders and the executives and the finance team start to do more and more of that burden, where they're trying to make sure the revenue is collected appropriately. So, democratizing like revenue collections, where you don't have to hire. If you're like a successful company and you have 6 people in the finance department, maybe you could just hire 4. And then those other 2 people can go help other companies, right? So there is this really natural thing where like the GDP of the United States, like everybody being productive, will go up because AI is going to be helping. I think it's a branding thing where over time people trust you more. There are other data points, like people will follow other data points to make sure that like a company is legitimate. Like for us, we have some really great investors, like Dropbox is an investor in us. Kleiner Perkins is an investor. One of the co-founders of Instacart is an investor. So it's like we have a really nice blend of like legitimate people in there that also creates validity for businesses that want to buy our product. People look at Chase Bank and they go, that's safe. And then they look at fintech companies. And I think with time, you gain more trust with who you are as like a brand and a company. So I think newer companies, naturally, there's a little bit of, does this work? Can it help me? Yeah. But at the end of the day, is Chase innovating? Like, they're just a bank, right? So like you need the people, you need to hire people to manage that bank account. So like there's major needs for all different types of like fintech finance companies to like help support like a Chase Bank. Trust is always one of those things where it's like, what do you do to become more trustworthy? You can become SOC 2 compliant. You could have like a compliance team. You can refer other customers, right? There's all these different like levers for creating like trust. I mean, there is a new type of startup where I would say it's building in public. Startups were really like a shrouded in secrecy thing back in like the 90s. And it was shrouded in secrecy in like the early 2000s. And people really didn't understand them. I actually think this is the first era, 2020 onward, like where you're seeing companies build in public. So for us, a lot of that is getting content around like updates very, very quickly. Talking about our culture, talking about like who the people are on the team, getting content out very quickly, either from me or, again, we are a small team, right? We're not a large team like Citibank, right? Yeah. Citibank is like a faceless company. I think branding is changing where you want to know who you're working with. You want to know, right? So like the people in the company you want to know and trust and feel like you have a good relationship with. So putting a lot of content out there creates like that build in public type feel. So people know if they want to do business with us, right? So like, they're like, okay, I like their culture. I like the team. Again, there is this theory that, and I don't think we're there yet, of the one man $1 billion startup. Imagine one guy like doing it all, and he has all these AI agents like helping him like build his $1 billion company. Will that happen? Maybe. But like, we're not there yet. But small teams can get so much more done. Like in the past, like a company in the early 2000s and the 1990s, they would have to raise, $100 million. And then they'd have to actually physically buy servers to put into like server farms and like data centers. That $100 million would be all spent on like that. Things have flipped where it's like AI agents are going to help you way more now than they ever have before. And I'll give you an example. Like our team uses AI all the time. We have AI on our content team. We have AI with our developers. Like, so we don't need to hire as many people as some of these companies that I think AI is making teams smaller, nimbler. Like you are going to see billion-dollar companies with smaller, nimbler teams. Like maybe half the support staff is like AI, voice support agents that pick up the phone. Like when someone calls, they pick up the phone and the questions are not so hard. So I think the world is like changing to a build in public. At least some companies, that's what we're really doing, is we're really putting a lot of content out there. Like, who are you doing business with? It's us. Like, you can talk to the team, you'll see the team. Like, we're kind of putting content out every day, all the time, just talking about like, how are we going to build this? How are we going to do that? For us, there's harder sales and then there's easier sales. So it really varies depending. An easy sale is a company doing, I'll give you an example. A company is doing $10 million or $20 million in revenue. Their sales team has carte blanche to like put whatever they want in a contract. What's carte blanche? It's like curating the contract any way possible to close the deal. And these are real customers of ours. What happens is over time, as the revenue grows to 10, 20 million, the accounting team gets so overwhelmed by these bespoke, complex contracts that they literally will either hire more people or they need to find some software that'll like help them do that. And for us, what you do is you basically just put your signed document into our product and the AI AR agent like figures out the nuances of what needs to happen in that. And what's really nice is it maps it all out. We have a really nice visualizer that says, this contract will get you paid over 2 years. This is the invoicing schedule. This is how the invoices are going to go out. Bigger vision, we don't have this today, is like allowing it to even go further to do like phone calls and texts, almost like a human being, to say like, hey, Daniel hasn't paid you in 3 months for those bespoke contracts and it's $60,000. Would you like me to make some phone calls and try to send him some texts and some emails? And I'll give him some details of like how to collect that revenue for us. And you just text it back. It's like, yeah, please do that for me. It's like a human being almost in a sense. And then it goes out and tries to collect that $60,000 for you. This is where the mind of like an entrepreneur today is, billing has to be simple or else I can't bill. I have to bill $50 a month. I have to bill $1,000 a month. Things are very, very hard fixed in the sense like, oh, giving a discount to that guy will be really hard if he signs a 2-year contract. And the discount applies to the last 2 months. Let's not do that. People don't do it because it's not possible. But if AI can read the contract, understand what's going on in that contract, and then basically create exactly what's in your mind and send that out, you're going to be way more creative to close deals. So a lot of deal flow actually falls apart sometimes when the sales team is like, I can't do that for you. Right now, it's like almost like a 1 degree. It's like you have a couple of parameters to change for a sale. In the future, you'll have 400 parameters. But it's the creative mind of the person. And if the AR AI agent is like, hey, you can't do this one thing, then you'll know, okay, I can't do balloon payments at the end, $2,000 a month, and at the end they owe us 50 grand. Like maybe there's limits that the executives put on the AR agent that the sales team can't use. We're not there yet in our company, but I'm like, I see it going in this direction where it's a virtual human being that helps you run your business on just that one side. Because you want to build the thing that you're building. Apple wants to focus on the iPhone and they want to make the best iPhone possible. Spotify wants to make the best music player possible. Tesla wants to make the best like electric truck possible. If you have finance teams and you're pulling resources towards those finance teams, it just creates like this stressor in a company which doesn't need to be there. So as AR agents get better and companies' core competency is not whatever those AI agents are doing, you're going to see a lot of that happening on that other side where like AI agents will do some of the work. And you see it today in marketing teams, right? Like marketing teams are using AI to like literally produce content at a faster rate than we've never seen before. Now you don't need 4 people, right? Maybe you don't need 10 people. Maybe you just need a part-time person who does it for 3 companies. And the AI agent is like helping to produce that content. I mean, you're seeing it on I'd say like a ChatGPT is a creative AI but you want to create like more business to business AIs over time. And a lot of people are looking into it and figuring out how to make that happen. I mean, one thing is you're always constrained by resources. So again, our team is small. We are, well, starting in January, we're going to be 14 people. The biggest stress is like, there's only so much time. Where do we focus? How do we get as much done to build this product to create reality? And you don't want to just burn all of your capital just trying to make it happen. So you're doing it in a really thoughtful way, but it's a constraint. But with constraints, great things happen. Like what I was reading the other day, the Walmart team, they were really constrained in the early days. They were the underdog, but they were able to figure out what works for them. And I think every startup is the underdog in the early days. It's like you have these larger companies, they figured a lot out. For us, we're constrained by like money resources, the monetary resources. We're constrained by time, like how fast can we execute? I mean, for me, like I get a lot of feedback from our customers, and I get a lot of feedback from potential customers. And I'm like, how do we get this done as fast as possible? So there's like a constraint there. It's honestly just consistently working on the same idea day in and day out. So I talk about Kaizen a lot. Kaizen is like a refinement process. I would say it's any improvement. It could be a 0.005% improvement. 5%'s a lot. If you could do that in a day, I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. I think it's any type of improvement in any part of the company. Like that's the way I view like 2025 at my company, which is what team members do we need to hire on? How do we make the sales process easier? What in the product needs to get better and like simpler? What in the product needs to get built out? Who on the team can do X, Y, and Z? Are we missing anything? But every day it's like you look at the company and you say, let's make an incremental improvement every single day. And like big vision, like what I spoke about, I don't think we're going to deviate from that too much. It's more that Kaizen mindset, which is there's 365 days. How do we get as much done as possible without burnout? I don't want any of the team like burning out and then like really creating like a massive impact in the world. And like I see the need. It's like, how do we get this in the hands of every business that's like needing something like what we have? And how do we figure that out? How do we deploy this? How do we get virality? Like, how do we get word of mouth? There is this weird multi-factor thing happening in the world where AI is accelerating at an insane rate, getting better every single day. And all the competitors are competing. Each one of them is getting better every single day. How do we take all of their learnings and capitalize that in like what we're doing? So you take like Anthropic. I don't know if you've heard of Anthropic. You take an Anthropic and you go, what did they do this week that we can capitalize on? You take an OpenAI and you say, what did they do this week that we can capitalize on? You take all of the startups, all of the hundreds of startups in San Francisco, and they call it Cerebral Valley. How do you take all of those startups and figure out how do we capitalize on like what they're learning and place the stuff that we can use into our business today? 2025 is going to be the era of AI. It's going to be so insane. It's accelerating at such a rate that it's just a race to see who can like do the most. And I don't think it's a winner take all. I think it's a winner take some market. Like ChatGPT is going to do what it does well. Anthropic is going to do what they do well. AI that helps like disabled people is going to do what it does well. AI that does AR revenue collections is going to do what it does well. So like you'll have all different types of AI that like will help you in your personal life. Right? So there'll be business AIs in 2025. There'll be personal AIs in 2025. I spoke to a company that said, let the AI go into your email and write the emails for you, and you don't have to do anything. I haven't tested it yet, but the team is working on that. That would save people so much time. Happy to show you a demo of what we're building. You could just sign up for a demo. I do demos personally. You could request me personally. You could request my co-founder, Analia, or my co-founder, Vinay, personally, and they'll show you a demo. We do have a sales team, so they can help you as well. But I'm accessible on LinkedIn. I'm accessible. The easiest way is honestly to connect with us on the JustPaid.ai website. We could talk to you from there. There's a chat on there and you can just chat with us.